My ethos or position is that all asset classes will be swallowed by Web3. Real estate will end up on chain. Stocks, bonds will have efficiencies and be augmented by the benefit of blockchain and smart contracts. So I think that that's going to probably be the largest effect that family offices in particular are going to feel.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm honored to be able to interview Claver. He's a leader in high-performance family office business, digital assets, and wealth management. As a director of Digital Ascension Group, a multi-family office, he serves high net worth and ultra-high net worth clients. He's a certified family office professional and R3 quota certified business professional. Jake pioneered blockchain and Web3 implementation in family offices. Yeah, thank you, Jake, for accepting the invitation. It's a great pleasure to have you on the channel. I think it will be a great conversation regarding family offices and wealth management, all this revolution going on in the digital space, and thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me. Look forward to the conversation.
Absolutely. Well, I have some questions for you to start with. And so, as a founder and managing partner, how has the concept of family offices evolved with the rise of digital technologies? And what do you see as the future of digital family offices in wealth management?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a lot to unpack there. So maybe a little context around how I came into the business and what we do and some of the different technologies we use to provide services for our clients would be pertinent to the conversation there. So for myself, I had a liquidity event in 2021, made a good amount of money in digital assets, and so I started seeking out service providers for different aspects of my own estate. So estate planning, CPAs, accountants, wealth management, philanthropic ventures, all the other things that would be associated with somebody that's come into, 20, 50, $100 million through, an exit in a business is most often the circumstance when people come into that type of money, but sometimes it is an investment, and digital assets lend themselves to that. So we started, you know, myself looking for those things, and I've found the network of people that we work with now. Brought some of those people in house, and then I started speaking about that in a public setting, and a lot of people just didn't think that that existed, and so I found product market fit, and so now we're one of two multifamily offices here in the U.S. that specialize in digital assets. So it's interesting. The investment itself and that vertical, I think that there'll be a lot of additional services that are built out around that. We've continued to innovate there, and we've partnered with Anchorage as our custodian. We provide those services to other family offices in an advisory role, and then also to other high net worth individuals that have an allocation to digital assets that believe their assets will appreciate substantially. We help them get positioned on the front end of that. So that's the investment component of it, but the underlying technology itself, I think, will play a role in a lot of different ways for family offices. One, providing liquidity to their private investments and how they manage their portfolios, along with, like I said, being an asset class that they allocate to. It can provide a lot of efficiencies just as it's integrated with the financial system and different financial products and offerings. Um, my ethos or position is that all asset classes will be swallowed by Web3. So real estate will end up on chain, stocks, bonds, everything that you invest in currently will have efficiencies and be augmented by the benefit of blockchain and smart contracts. So I think that that's going to probably be the largest effect that family offices in particular are going to feel from this asset class. The other piece and one of the technologies that we currently use for our offering for our clients is called iPaladin. They're a company out of Florida. Jill Krieger is the CEO there. She's great. What they have is a proprietary private permissioned blockchain that allows your advisors to communicate, um, and basically it aggregates all that information and their communications there. It's a secure portal for them to do that. And it also allows you to hold all of your sensitive documents on that blockchain and be able to pass that information between people that need it in a very efficient manner. So um, when traditional family offices, either a single family office or a multifamily office, use that technology, they tend to see an efficiency increase of somewhere between 30 and 40%, just because you have accountability. You can see when people open communications, and there's no he said, she said, I didn't get the email type situations that roll out there. And to your point, you mentioned digital family office. So that is actually the name of our family office and a product that we're looking to develop later on. But I think family offices, especially multi-generation family offices at this point, are um, I don't say in the dark ages, but haven't taken advantage of a lot of the technology that exists. There's still some that operate on spreadsheets and QuickBooks, and
I see. Which
so
is crazy.
yeah, for managing, sometimes billions of dollars, you would think
Yeah.
that they might have better systems. And there's Adapar and Black Diamond, and a lot of reporting softwares that do really well.
Mhm.
But a lot of the accounting still is done just kind of old school. And anyway, I think that there will be a step up at some point, and I think you'll also see smaller family offices, if you will.
Mhm.
There's virtual family office is a term that's kind of come into vogue over the last 2 3 years here, where people that are around the 20 to $50 million net worth are getting services for their portfolio and the management of their assets and their family affairs, kind of on an ad hoc basis.
Mhm.
And you've seen this with other industries where, like Uber, okay, it used to have to be very wealthy to have a driver. Now, pretty much anybody can call an Uber and get a driver, right?
Yeah.
I think that there will be a dissemination or a democratization of these services that kind of scale down to lower net worth people over time at a more cost effective rate. So and that'll happen through some of the technologies and blockchain and smart contracts and uh, this asset class. So
Yeah.
those are kind of the main points on the question that you mentioned.
Thank you. Thank you, Jake. And I think it's interesting that you and your company are doing like a great service for this area, for this realm. You're basically the innovators in this space. You said that your company is one of the two new in the US, right?
Yes,
Doing
ma'am.
the digital wealth management with family offices.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so that's a great thing, you know. That's why I invited you here to bring a little bit about the background of your company and your services as well. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So the second question is, you advocate for wealth creation and financial independence. In today's economic climate, what's the biggest mindset shift people need to make to go from surviving to thriving?
Um, Accountability, I guess, would be the word that comes to mind. I think a lot of people have a scarcity mindset or victim mentality,
Mhm.
where they choose to believe that their circumstances have control over them, and they give other people power. And when you take accountability or extreme accountability for your circumstances and realize that you are in the position that you are in because of the choices that you have made. You kind of have a come to Jesus moment, and you realize that maybe the decisions that I've made in my life have led me to this point, but then it also empowers you to take control of your life at that point because it's your decisions and your choices that can pull you out of that too.
Yeah.
So, um, I have conversations with a wide variety of people, a lot of wealthy individuals, and I would say that the largest commonality between those people is they have radical responsibility and accountability for the choices that they've made in their life, and they understand that irrespective of economic climate or conditions or outside circumstance, they are in control, and um, they choose to believe that way. And it's crazy to think that you are the one that literally gets to make that choice, that you can decide whether the rest of the world is against you, or you have control of what's going on. And I mean, you don't always have control of everything that's going on. There are outside circumstances, but you control how you react to them. And
True.
so you can't control who's elected as president. You can't control natural disasters or any of those things. But you can control what you're going to do about it and how you're going to be able to move forward. So that would be um, what I think is probably the biggest mindset shift that people can take if they did want to go from being in a survival state to having abundance in their life.
Yeah. Especially nowadays that inflation like highest level in history. So people need to wake up and take control of their lives and right.
Yeah, and again, those are outside circumstances. I think that they will shore up the money. I'm hopeful that they do, that they'll back it with gold and other commodities
Hmm.
that make you able to save your currency or your money, and maintain the value that you've traded your time for. So something I tell my son. There's three ways to make money. With your time, with your knowledge, and then you can use leverage is
Hmm.
the last way to make money. And when you first start out, all you have is time. So if you can trade your time to gain some knowledge and get paid to learn things, then over time you can move up the corporate ladder, or in whatever career or vocation that you have, you can progress. And then you're able to leverage the knowledge that you've learned for more pay for your time. And then eventually, there's four C's that you can use as leverage to create income. So content, you're producing this media. We shoot this one time.
Hmm.
Thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people could watch this content later on.
Hmm.
And you could repurpose it. You could shoot an SOP for your company, and then train however many people. You don't have to be there for each individual time that you are training those people. Um, Code, so anything that you can automate. Again, you do something one time and you can repurpose it over and
Yeah.
over and over again. Capital is one of the other ones, right? So if you have money and resources, you've aggregated some value, you can deploy that somewhere else, and you don't have to be there to be able to generate the income off of it. And then the last thing would be uh, collaboration or labor, other people's time and energy. If you can provide leadership and incentivize people to work for you, or get behind a common theme or goal and push forward, then um, you can obviously generate more income with that than you would be able to with just your time alone. So
Hmm.
um, anyway, yeah, I think people that may be stuck or feel like they're under the thumb of inflation, they haven't been taught any of this stuff. Resources are out there though. I've had a lot of mentors that have just been people on YouTube that
Absolutely.
time.
And since you're talking about that, I would like for you to just say a little bit about your Beyond Broke
Yeah,
um, mastermind,
yeah,
right? Yeah, I find it very cool. People can like learn from you, and that's a great thing as well.
yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, so we do have a community, and I would say my journey into financial freedom kind of started when I spent more than I was comfortable with to put myself around people that knew more than me. Um, if the faster you can aggregate knowledge and you spend money on self improvement, actually makes a big difference. I the cheapest mastermind I've ever been a part of was like $3,000 for the
Mhm.
year. We try to make it extremely affordable, and we try to provide more resources and value for people for far less, because I do want people to have access to be able to get ahead. So we do have, different levels of membership there. Social memberships just $25 a month. Um, Carbon one is 100, Carbon two is 250, and then we do have an upper echelon that is Carbon three that's $2,500 a month. But yeah, we provide business resources and financial education there for people that are looking to get ahead and be part of a community with aligned interests. And the other theme there is people have an allocation to digital assets. So
Mhm.
a lot of times it's nice to be a part of a community that you don't feel alone in. Other people are
Yeah.
going through something similar to yourself. They might be just a few steps ahead of you in that journey, and they can kind of guide you and help you along the way. Um, I've been mentored by people on a few occasions where they're 10, 15 years ahead of me, and it's hard for them to relate to my current situation or think back to those things. But if you're in a group of people that are all moving in a similar direction, and you have people that are just, 3, 4 steps ahead of you, they remember what it was like in your shoes, and they can help guide you through that process or time. So, yeah, it's super proud of the culture that we've built there, and I appreciate you bringing it up.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. And I agree with you. Sometimes you just need a little push, right, to keep going forward. And that's something that you're definitely doing with your mastermind. Well, the third question is Digital Wealth Partners, your company, operates in a fast moving space of wealth management and fintech. How are you leveraging technology to provide personalized financial solutions that cater to a diverse range of clients?
Yeah. So we found partners and software in the space that allow us to do that. Being digital forward in everything that we do. So Digital Ascension Group is the larger conglomerate. We have Digital Family Office, which provides the um, wealth management and the estate planning and the full scope of services. But underneath that, we do have an SEC registered RIA here in the U.S.
Mhm.
That provides the wealth management and custodial services for the digital assets in particular. And with that, like you mentioned, we do have service providers and software that we use um, to cater to clients' needs and provide them a full view of their financial picture. So Black Diamond is who we're partnered with on that side for the reporting. On-Ramp Invest, or well, they were purchased by Securitize, so they're Securitize for advisors.
Mhm.
Does specifically digital assets and allows you to view your portfolio, but it integrates with Black Diamond through Morningstar, and so we're able to pull in, if you have stocks, bonds, treasuries, private investment, real estate, other allocations in other verticals or asset classes, we can present, a full view of our clients' portfolios to them and help them manage that along with their digital assets there.
Nice. 401ks as well, right?
Yeah, if you qualified accounts, and so we can do IRAs. A 401k is going to be in traditional stocks. You're pretty limited in scope as far as
Um,
digital assets and what exposure you can get there. Uh,
mhm.
Hoping, we have these ETFs that Bitwise has brought forward for XRP and Canary
Yeah.
Capital. I think that BlackRock isn't too far behind them with their ETF for XRP, but currently, you just have the Ethereum ETF and the Bitcoin ETFs that you can make an allocation to in your 401k. Uh,
Mhm.
you might have a self-directed 401k. There's a lot of different qualified accounts. We can help manage those through Schwab or Goldman, our accounts there. But yeah, the main focus is the digital asset side for us. And the only way that you can get an allocation and qualified account to digital assets is through an IRA. So either
Mhm.
self-directed or a Roth. There's a lot of different types of IRAs, but we can facilitate management of those through Anchorage, who's our custody partner.
Gotcha. That's great. That's great, Jake. Well, and the next question is, we've seen a shift towards wealth being created in the digital realm, such as crypto assets. So, how do you navigate this space while maintaining traditional wealth management principles?
Yeah, so it's challenging.
Mhm.
Um, there again, there's only two SEC registered RIAs in the U.S. that handle digital assets that are brought to them by their clients. There are a lot of RIAs that have created funds and will take cash and make allocations on behalf of their clients into digital assets. That's been the way that the majority of people have participated in this space up to this point. Um, you want to work with a qualified custodian. You want to have reporting and billing. A lot of these things have just been built out for um, digital assets in the last 2 or 3 years. There really haven't been providers or technology that supported this until here recently. We're still on the front end of that. Like I mentioned, there just really isn't a whole lot of appetite for it or demand. So, but I think as things progress, there will be. And the other thing that's kind of stymied that or held it back has been regulation around these assets, right? People aren't sure if they're securities or commodities or currencies, or if the underlying assets qualify as that, or is it the contracts in which they're sold that are the securities? Until Congress steps in with Fit 21, and I think there's clear regulations around this, maybe in 2025.
Mhm.
I think we're still going to see some headwinds for the industry and adoption, but we pride ourselves in being a leader and setting the standard across that with the compliance and regulatory environment that exists. We just want to be above board with everything that we're doing and try to do it in the most compliant way possible. So that's how we've moved forward, and I think we've done a good job.
Absolutely. Yeah, you guys are way ahead of the curve because you're basically rising with the technology, parallel to the technology. So that's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Well, so, and the last question for you would be that we are seeing a growing trend in digital assets and tokenization. How do you see these developments impacting the way family offices and wealth managers allocate capital in the future?
Like I said in the kind of opening question, I think that the underlying technology is going to have a large impact on systems and the way that things work. Um, there are a lot of middlemen that exist in the system right now that take fees, substantial fees for doing certain things, market makers, broker dealers. Um, Over the long term, I think a lot of those will be disintermediated by this technology, and the cost of doing business will come down substantially. I think that there still needs to be regulatory compliance and wrappers around things so that people have disclosure and understand the risks when participating in DeFi or CeFi. But yeah, I think that there is just going to be a disintermediation of a lot of the people that currently take significant fees on transactions across pretty much any financial transaction or class. So as like you could imagine, like title companies in real estate transactions, escrow agents, brokers for real estate, all of those I think could become smart contracts. And
Exactly.
whoever creates that smart contract will disrupt that industry significantly. Um, the DTCC has already created a backend with Project Ion and R3
Mhm.
that's been running in parallels with the system since 2022. I think that once there's enough liquidity in certain assets, they'll begin settling those transactions through specific networks.
Mhm.
And um, I mean, they really don't make a whole lot of money there at the DTCC. It's a public good, pretty much. But the broker dealers that use and integrate with that, I think could, you know, potentially have higher margins. Visa, Mastercard, same thing. Those payments, they're charging 2 to 3% for processing those payments. I think that they'll have to reduce their fees significantly or offset that by allowing lines of credit to people for processing transactions to be able to make up the spread. Um, Now, I think you are going to see a significant increase in the amount of transactions that happen globally once this technology is implemented. Because if you think back to like email and how much communication was happening just mail, right? Like with the US Postal Service, I'm sure that it was significantly higher than it is today,
Mhm.
you know, 30 years ago. But there were frictions, right? It took 2 or 3 days for communication to get somewhere until fax was created in the 80s, became, the primary form of communication before email. Um, and then there were costs, right? You had to pay for stamps in order to send something to somebody. Well, now you get, I don't know, I get hundreds of emails a day,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's instant and free, right? So the amount of transactions across an economy and globally, I think, will increase exponentially on the other side of removing the the latency and the cost associated with sending transactions. And so the margins that Visa and MasterCard and some of these other providers make for processing the payments, I think will go up. It'll cost them pennies to move millions of dollars where it might be, 15 $10 $15 right now to move that much money.
Yeah,
Um, it'll drop to pennies, and then they can reduce, the cost to the end consumer to $1, but now they're making 99 or 90% margin, whereas before they were only making 50% margin. So if they increase the amount of payments that are sent, they actually end up making more money using this technology versus what it is now after it's been adopted at scale. So anyway, I think that it's a net benefit for everybody, and I'm excited for all of the reductions in costs and frictions that exist in the system across all financial investments.
yeah. So to your point about the protocols, like we don't see exactly what's going on within the protocol. We just know that we know how to deal, for example, with our phones, with emails, and it will be the same thing for um, the internet of value that people keep saying it, right? Because you don't know how the banks are going to transact with each other, but you will know that your payment will get to your device instantly, and it will cost nothing basically, so I think it's great. I am fascinated with the technology, and speaking with somebody that knows the technology itself and understands it, it's cool.
Uh, I'm excited for it. I think that we're on the precipice of a fourth industrial revolution, and just I think it's going to be a net economic benefit for everybody's quality of life as these things kind of roll out. And to your point, most people won't even know how or what happened. They'll
Mhm.
just know that things happen faster and they're easier, and that's what innovation does. So,
And what would be your advice for an enterprise that wants to be ahead of the this revolution or be up to date with it?
we've had I'm part of the Arkansas Blockchain Council, and we've had a few different businesses there in Arkansas reach out to us just to educate them on what the technology is and how they could use it and how it's going to affect their industry.
Mhm.
So I would say, just try to learn as much as you can. There's really not a way that you can implement this at scale currently. There's very few companies that have got traction that are providing services using blockchain technology. Again, until regulations in place that fosters the innovation and allows people to know how to participate with the technology in a regulated way, I think things are still going to be delayed. But if you can start consuming, content and aggregating information and understanding what the technology does, then you may be that leader in your industry, right? If you are ahead of the curve and you understand the impacts that this could have, and you find the developers or other people in an ecosystem that can deal with building whatever the product is, then you might be the one to disrupt your industry.
Exactly.
So I think there's a huge opportunity for people that are willing to put the time in now. Just like, say, I feel like we're like 1993 for the internet, 1994 for the internet. Um, there was a big tulip bubble in the 2000s, and then it kind of fell, and then now we've
Mhm.
got Amazon and Google, and a lot of the companies that were earlier on there have fallen to the wayside. I think that it'll be that way for like Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think that they're kind of the Netscape or the early movers. There'll be better technologies that kind of come forward
Yeah.
that are implemented at scale for actual use case of the technology. But yeah, I would just say start learning about it and figure out how you could apply it to your industry and what that would take.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great advice. I would say the same. If you can at least get to know the technology now, you are already ahead of 99% of the world because it's so new, right? So,
Yeah, we're 15 years in since Bitcoin was created, but I think we're still in like the second inning, maybe third inning of a 9 series game. Um, and if you're in now and you understand how you can use the technology to augment efficiencies within your industry and you're actively working toward creating something that does that, um, Warren Buffett says sometimes it's not about how hard you row, but what boat you're in, right? If you're in the boat that's moving with the stream instead of against it, um,
mhm.
and you're an early mover, you don't. I don't want to say you don't have to be the best. You want to have a high standard, but at the same time, you're going to get a lot of leverage just from being in the right area at the right time. So
Sure. I agree with you. Yeah. So thank you, Jake, for accepting the invitation. Thank you for taking a little time to answer these questions that will be greatly appreciated by my audience. In the Brazilian audience, I'm Brazilian, so I'm sure they will appreciate this conversation and your insights.
thank you for having me on, and hopefully it provides them some value. If anybody has any questions or would like to reach out to us, we do work with international parties. Um,
Mhm.
you can just find us at digitalfamilyoffice.io or digitalwealthpartners.net.
Yeah, I'm going to leave your information in the description below so everyone can reach out to you. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. You have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.